Sean not built for prison.
No, really heavy.
Yeah, he's not built for prison.
In a shocking development that has rocked the music industry, reggae fusion artist Sean Kingston and his mother Janice Turner were found guilty on all charges related to their $1 million luxury fraud scheme. The federal jury in Miami reached the verdict on March 28, 2025, after just 3.5 hours of deliberation. Kingston, whose legal name is Kycian Paul Anderson, his 62-year-old mother were convicted of conspiring to commit wire fraud, and 4 counts of wire fraud, each carrying a maximum sentence of up to 20 years in federal prison. Sentencing is scheduled for July 11, 2025, before U.S. District Judge David Leowitz. The courtroom atmosphere turned emotional following the verdict. Kingston reportedly broke down in tears, pleading with U.S. Marshals to protect my mother as Turner was taken into custody. In a poignant moment, Turner blew a kiss to her daughter, who mouthed, "I love you," before she was escorted away. Kingston was placed under house arrest with an ankle monitor at his residence in Southwest Ranches, Florida. Prosecutors presented damning evidence during the trial, including text messages between Kingston and his mother that revealed the inner workings of their scheme. One particularly incriminating message showed Kingston telling his mother, "Mother, you don't listen to me. I told you to make a fake receipt," to which she replied, "Please screenshot and send it to him." These messages served as the smoking gun, leaving no doubt about their intent to defraud.
So like Sean Kingston, have y'all heard about the Sean Kingston shit?
That I do know.
Yeah,
Sean Kingston is definitely a scam.
Certainly. Here's a rewritten version of the paragraph with improved flow clarity and tone, while keeping the original intent and energy. Between April 2023 and March 2024, Sean Kingston and his mother, Janice Turner, ran a bold fraud operation that had them living large without spending a cent. Prosecutors said the duo acquired extravagant items, including a $6,000 bulletproof Cadillac Escalade, nearly $48,000 worth of high-end watches and jewelry, and even a massive 232-inch LED TV by deceiving luxury vendors with fake wire transfer receipts. These phony payment confirmations made it seem like the items were paid for when in reality the sellers were being duped. One of the victims, Moshe, a jeweler based in Fort Lauderdale, testified that Kingston scammed him out of a $285,000 Audemars Piguet watch. Consequences were severe. Moshe lost his job and was blacklisted from the industry. This wasn't just a financial scheme, it left real damage, and Kingston's scams didn't just cost people money, they ruined careers and reputations.
And did he act with intent to defraud? Alongside his mother, Janice Turner, also charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and more.
You didn't need to run like that.
We heard from Turner herself.
But this wasn't the first time Sean Kingston or his mother had run into legal trouble. Real talk. When Kingston landed his first record deal at just 17 or 18, his mom was already serving time for identity theft. As hip-hop commentator 1090 Jake pointed out, their history with the law goes way back, long before this latest high-profile fraud case.
Sean Kingston got signed. He was like maybe 17, 18 years old at the time. His mom was in prison for identity theft. So he grew up in this scammer kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, she already was doing it. And he just made it to where they could really do it.
This revelation adds a deeper layer to Sean Kingston's story, suggesting that the environment he grew up in may have normalized the scammer lifestyle. His mother, Janice Turner, had already served time about 1.5 years for bank fraud back in 2006. After stealing over $6,000, a conviction that likely contributed to the family's ongoing financial and legal struggles, the feds began closing in on Kingston and Turner in May 2024. A SWAT team raided Kingston's rented mansion in Southwest Ranches, Florida. Turner was arrested on fraud and theft charges, and Kingston himself was taken into custody later that same day in California after performing at Fort Irwin. By July 2024, both had been indicted by a federal grand jury on 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 5 counts of wire fraud charges that would ultimately lead to their convictions in March 2025. During the trial, the defense attempted to portray Kingston as a naive young artist who didn't know how to manage his finances. Rather than a calculated fraudster, his attorney described him as a kid who spends recklessly and isn't even fully aware of how much money he has, while he argued that the situation amounted to civil disputes, not a coordinated scam. But the jury wasn't buying it. The impact of the conviction extends far beyond the courtroom. Kingston's already fading music career is now likely on indefinite pause. The stigma of being a convicted scammer could kill future collaboration sponsorships and brand deals, potentially bringing his entire career to a grinding halt.
But the whole thing is, Vlad, when people's on their last leg, you ain't no telling what they could do. You know what they would do. I know what you saying. I understand.
But it wasn't even like, okay, like I get it. You're scamming to pay your rent.
The question on everyone's mind is why a successful artist with hit songs and paid performances would risk everything by running scams. Tony Yayo from G-Unit shared his perspective on the situation, offering some insight into Kingston's choices.
Dude, why do you think someone who makes legal money and could do shows and, could put out more music starts to scam on the side?
I mean, sometimes I feel like it's the pressure of the industry and keeping up with like the Joneses and, you got to get Richard Millie's and like it goes back to the $10,000 jeans and, you know what I mean?
Yayo's take highlights the pressure within the music industry to maintain a lavish lifestyle, especially when an artist's income starts to decline. For Kingston, who caught lightning in a bottle early in his career, but struggled to sustain that success, the temptation to boost his legitimate earnings with money from scams may have been too strong to resist. Meanwhile, hip-hop commentator 1090 Jake offered a different perspective, suggesting that Kingston's upbringing in a household where scamming was normalized likely played a significant role in his choices.
Look, I understand if you're a high school dropout, you can't really get a good job, and you're just trying to figure out ways to pay the bills, and scamming seems like an okay idea at the time, and you're just doing what you got to do. But when you're Sean Kingston, you're being booked for shows.
As we reflect on the rise and fall of Sean Kingston, it's important to look beyond the flashy facade of fame and fortune to the deeper struggles and pressures that can push people down destruction. Kingston's story serves as a cautionary tale for those in the entertainment industry, showing how quickly a reputation and career can be destroyed by poor choices. Before the recent conviction threatening to send him to federal prison for decades, Kingston had a long history of legal troubles and financial misconduct. This pattern of fraud and deception had been building for years, foreshadowing his eventual downfall. Despite his musical talent and early success, Kingston repeatedly became entangled in questionable financial schemes that eventually Back in December 2020, well before the fraud scheme that led to his current conviction, a warrant was issued for Kingston's arrest for grand theft related to an unpaid $45,000 jewelry bill. He was accused of taking luxury jewelry without paying, and sources like The Source and the Jasmine brand highlighted the seriousness of the case, which included a $45,000 bail and public accusations from jewelers, including Atlanta-based AP, who publicly called him out on social media. Although this incident didn't result in a separate conviction, it fits into a larger pattern of Kingston's fraudulent behavior that culminated in his 2024-2025 federal case. Financial struggles were evident earlier as well. In 2014, Kingston had several luxury cars repossessed, including a Mercedes-Benz G-Class Bentley and Lamborghini due to unpaid loans. By 2015, he was allegedly kidnapped over an $18,500 watch debt, ultimately paying $22,500 to resolve the situation. On August 30, 2016, he was sued by jewelry company Aquamaster for $20,000 to $25,000 in unpaid bills. And in February 2018, a judge ordered him to pay $3,500 to the same jeweler, further proof of a recurring pattern of fraud with jewelry vendors. Kingston's reputation in the streets wasn't helped by public discussions either. On the Breakfast Club radio show, DJ Envy referenced Kingston's wild parties and hinted at sketchy behavior involving industry figures like Scott Beasley painting a picture of a star whose offstage actions raised serious red flags.
What's going on at your house, man? You almost got my man Scott Beasley in trouble. What kind of parties do you have at the house?
Stop with this. What kind of parties?
You said this last time.
I'm young, I'm successful, I'm having fun, I'm turning up.
In the same interview, Kingston faced intense scrutiny over allegations of sexual misconduct, which he denied. However, it was revealed that he had settled a civil lawsuit instead of proceeding to trial, with Charlemagne Thagard weighing in on the situation.
I think you did was right. You did the Michael Jackson. Just let it go away. Absolutely.
Then you're gonna go
move on with your life.
But to be honest with you, it was the best thing because I felt like if it was an ongoing thing, it would have kept being in the media.
I think you did was right. You did the Michael Jackson.